parsha opens with the words Vayeshev Yakov Be'eretz Meguri Aviv Be'eretz Canaan. Our father Jacob settled in the land in which his father sojourned, or the land of the sojourns of his father. This is the land of Canaan. There are many Mamar from our Rabbi about this. In the brackets he puts here in the Torah of the Alter Rebbe, Mamar of the Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, and the Mamar after Rabbi afterwards. Shemedaikim, that one of the things that's noted in almost all of the Mamarim is the notion that there is a kefel haloshen, that is redundancy here, or at least unnecessary, superfluous verbiage. That it says Be'eretz Megure Aviv, the land of his father's sojourns, and then it says Be'eretz Canaan. So these coordinates are necessary. Loma le'lefaresh Eretz Canaan. We know the land of Yitzchak's sojourns. It's not possible to confuse the land with any other place because Yitzchak never went anywhere else. If you said Avram's land of sojourns, you'd have a question. Where was that? He only came to Eretz Yisrael when he was age 75. But Yitzchak clearly wanted to leave and was told he's not allowed to. And we all know that. So why would the Torah have to spell out this is the land of Canaan? We already know from copious verses prior, She'eretz Meguri Aviv, He Eretz Canaan, that the land of his fathers, that is the land of Canaan. We're forced then to say, Sha'atoyar Eretz Canaan, Yesh Be'inyan Ha'atoyar Eretz Meguri Aviv. That describing the land as the land of Canaan is adding something to describing it as the land in which his father sojourned. In other words, clearly, we're not talking about Eretz Canaan so we know where we are. This is not about the GPS coordinates. That's certain. So then why is it saying Eretz Canaan? So he could have just said he came to the land of Canaan. We want to say that he came to the land of his father's sojourns. That says something. That has a message. And there must be another message. A message that it was the land of his father's sojourns. A message that it's the land of Canaan. Of course, we would ask ourselves, what kind of message could it be? The land of his father's sojourns, I can understand, they walk in his father's footsteps, continue where his father began. But what's the point of saying the land of Canaan? This really requires understanding, elucidation. And broadly speaking, the explanation with regard to this is, that the land of Israel is specifically emphasized of Canaan. That's how the Torah describes it a number of times. Even after it's already being talked about as Eretz Yisrael. Now, you have to understand, this doesn't mean after the land already became Eretz Yisrael, as in the Jewish people having already come to the land, because the fact remains that the Torah concludes before the Jewish people come into the land of Israel. Nonetheless, the Torah already refers, now there is a nation of Israel, and there's a land of Israel, and there's a land that God's going to bring us to. And at some point, it no longer has value in being referred to as the land of Canaan, and nonetheless it is. The muchach mizeh, from the very fact that the Torah makes a point of choosing it, land of Canaan, it's clear, must say, Sha'atoyar Eretz Canaan, that the title, the terminology, the name, land of Canaan, yesh b'mayla v'shevach gam legabe hatoyar Eretz Yisrael. There must be a reason why the Torah would want to call this land Canaan, even more so than the Torah would want to call it Eretz Yisrael. Now, that doesn't mean the name land of Canaan is better named than Eretz Yisrael. Otherwise, we would be in the land of Canaan. But we're not in the land of Canaan, we're in the land of Israel. But there must be something about the land of Canaan that has a message, some idea that's associated with the land of Canaan that is more valuable, more important than the land of Eretz Yisrael. And this, of course, has to be understood. The thing is like this. The Canaan Pirusha Seicher. The word Canaan in Hebrew, besides being a name of an ancient nation, the word Canaan actually means a business person.
A what?
A business person. A person who engages in commerce. In Hebrew. Where do we know this from? We know this from this week's parsha. Kimuva betargum, like it's brought in the targum of our own parsha. What does it say? That Yehuda married Kanani. That's what it says. Okay. Ish Kanani, Bas Ish Kanani. And we know that the others weren't allowed to marry Canaanites. In fact, the Rebbe suggests, according to the opinion, that they married Canaanites. It doesn't mean Canaanites. They weren't genetically Canaanites. They were business people. There's two opinions who they married. Whether they married half-sisters or they married locals. But if they married locals, it's not Canaanites. Because clearly Avraham Avinu told Eliezer that you're from Canaan, you're from Cham, Ata Ora Ani Baruch. It's not going to work. These genetics are not prone to work. So then it says Canaan, what could it mean? And the answer is business. The truth is, this is brought in many places. Yeah, everybody knows the Eshes Chayil. What do we say, Eshes Chayil? Sadna Sala Knani. Who's the Knani? The Knani. That's weird. You never thought of that. We say it every Friday night.
It's not in modern Hebrew. It's
what?
I'm a Knani man.
Modern Hebrew is not in the picture right now. It's not in Torah Hebrew. The word Knani shows up with that kind of meaning.
Makes sense.
Sheknan in Yoni or in Mischar. That Canaan is business. Let's talk about business now. Who we get business advice from? If you want to talk about business, we're going to read The Art of the Deal. Whose book are we going to read?
Donald Trump.
Okay, you can read Donald Trump if you want. But we're going to look and see what Torah says. What does Torah say about business? So there's a Mamar Razal. Believe it or not, there is a statement which is made by our sages. It's found in Maseches Bava Metzia, which largely deals with business. And it says over there, Zavin Tagro Ikri. Now, but you're supposed to read it like this. Zavin v'zavin Tagro Ikri. You bought and sold for the same amount of money. That's called business. What are you doing? If you sell it for the same amount of money you bought it for, it's not called business. It's called spinning your wheels.
Wasting time.
Blinking in the dark. What's the point? A person will say, I worked really, really hard. I invested $100,000 this year. What'd you make? Back the whole $100,000. I'm such a cheverman. My neighbor invested $100,000, only got 70 cents on a dollar. He got 70,000. I'm really good. I'm good at this. I got back my whole $100,000. I lost. At the end of the year, the money I put in is exactly the way I took out. They say, you're a good businessman. Your friend lost $30,000. He took a loss, a 30% loss. You took a clean business, a clean year. Money in, money out. I said, no, you didn't lose, but not losing is not called business. Business means profit. Profit. If you're not making profit, you're not in business. Then maybe you have no business being in business.
Interest from another Jew.
Interest? Interest is not allowed. No. You have to find a more creative way of making profit. This then is the content of business. This is not about business per se. Let's learn how to do business. But business represents an idea. There's a motif. What is business? Business means to turn a profit. There was a Canadian industrialist who wrote a book about 20 years ago. And in his book he wrote like this: I'm in business to make money, not friends. If you need friends, buy a dog. I have 3. He was a guy who used to buy companies and chop them up, and everybody hated him. He said, I'm in business to make money. Okay, you're in business to make money. That's the bottom line. The Knaan Lashon Mischar, and here the Rebbe uses a very interesting expression: Shemefazer harbe, that you invest a lot, midashusay. But the reason you invest, and the reason to make a big investment, is kedei lahosef, is to add to your investment. So you can't invest very cautiously. I'm just going to invest like $500, but I hope I make a living this year. Yeah, it's not going to happen. If you want to make money, you have to really make a serious investment. So making a serious investment is necessary, but it's not just about making the serious investment, it's kedei lahosef. The reason you make the serious investment and the reason you risk this is in order to add. And here, the Rebbe quotes a pasuk from Mishlei. And I have to tell you, like this pasuk from Mishlei is not really about business at all. It's actually about giving tzedakah. It says, Yesh mefazer v'noisef. A person who spreads, gives freely, and grows as a result. And the way we understand that pasuk of Mishlei is that if a person gives tzedakah, Hashem gives back more. That's like the way we understand it. So what does this mean? So it means, l'chayre, it would seem, that the Rebbe is almost like connecting the idea of business in literal terminology of commerce with the business of spirituality. But he's using now also that phraseology. He's using the phraseology of mefazer and noisef. So that's why he quotes this pasuk, I think. She'eina kavana b'zeh. The intention here is not sha'acharei hapizur mekabel v'chazora. Excuse me. That after the investment, mekabel v'chazora, he gets back his kol hakesef. V'zov shapizur. He gets back all the silver, all the gold that he invested. That's not the point. The point is elisha noisefait. If all you're doing in business is making back your investment, you're not in business. Now, of course, a person can be in business for a year, and the first 10 months he's just making back. And maybe it's the profit comes in the last 2 months. That could be. Sometimes people go for like a 10-year business plan. And the first 8 years is just making back what they put in. But the last 2 years, that's where the profit comes in. That's where the profit. So sometimes people want to take down your margins, but that's the profit margin. If you're taking those margins, there's nothing left. That's what you need. So you have to be ready to make that extra money. Now, if you want to talk about this now in more general, spiritual terms, losing money to make money, going down, having your residuals dip in order to experience a rise. That the reason we're ready to go low is b'shvil ha'aliyah dafka, is in order to jump higher. So the runner who takes steps back is not because he wants to go back, he wants to jump forward. In order to jump forward, he's got to go back. You have to pull the bow back in order for the arrow to go forward. A person will have to make an investment and lose money in order to make money. But make money doesn't mean replacing what you invested. Make money means to make more than you invested. And that's the Yeridah Tzarech Aliyah. So actually this paradigm is not business per se. This paradigm actually is what religion's about. Religion is about having a relationship with God. And about having a relationship with God, there's a business element. And the business element is you have to be ready to lose in order to make. The neshama is coming down to this world is the greatest investment that God ever made. It's the greatest investment ever made, the highest risk ever. The highest risk is to take a neshama that's perfect, that's in a beautiful place, that's doing everything it should, put it into this world where it's inundated constantly with messaging, which seems to bring it down. And so many neshamas fall by the wayside and go over the falls. And yet, all of this is so that your neshama should be able not only to maintain its original equilibrium, not only to maintain its original spiritual purity, but in fact, to experience enrichment. The neshama comes back better than it left, which in some ways almost never happens. The neshama comes better.
That's a Beinoni.
And that's just a Beinoni. Right? And there's an enormous amount of damage that's sustained. Then the neshama comes down battered, it comes back, no question about that. So despite the fact that the neshama comes back battered, nonetheless, there's a profit to be made. And that profit is worth the whole battering. It's worth the whole descent. It's worth that whole Yeridah to be able to come to that Aliyah. If you want to say, what is business? We just said it, business. Business, lose money, to make money. That's the whole business of a neshama coming down into this world. The neshama comes down in order to go up, which is a yerida gedola b'yoser. It's a tremendous descent. Asher hayerida, that descent is all l'tzarech aliyah. It's for the purpose of an appropriate ascent, not bouncing back to where it was, but accelerating and going far beyond that. That the neshama should be able to come back to a place that is far grander and greater than the place it left. For if this was not to be, why bother? Why bother? What was the point? Nothing's accomplished. You may as well have stayed where you are. That's why you say stop while you're ahead. But instead you made this investment. Why? Because there's a profit to be made. The Rebbe says this is the inyan of Eretz Canaan. Now we can understand what the Torah says. Be'eretz Meguri Aviv be'eretz Canaan shenikra b'shem Eretz Dafke. It's not just called Canaan. It's called Eretz. Kihine b'chinas Eretz. When we speak about Eretz, we're talking about Meira al Hadarga Hachi Tachtoina. We're talking about the lowest level possible, what they call ground zero. She'ein Tachton lemata mimeno. It doesn't get lower than ground zero. You're at zero now. For example, Bedal Yesedis. the four elemental dimensions of reality, Shebelam Haza Hagashmi, of the material world, which is fire, also known as energy. Water, also known as liquidity. Air or wind, also known as gas. And then there's solid. Then there's earth, there's soil. The element of soil, that is the lowest element, the lowest ebb possible is the soil. So too, also when we speak about the earth in comparison with what's called the seven orbs, the seven atmospheres. We speak about these different orbs or different atmospheres, and they're also referred to in a metaphorical sense as heavens, and there are lower heavens and higher heavens. But then, after getting through all the heavens, what's the lowest of all? What's when you hit what you call rock bottom? That's ground zero. That's earth. And when we speak about Eretz itself, it's known that there's something called Artzis HaChaim. Artzis is plural, lands, the lands of life, Lashon Rabim. In other words, Ha'aretz Ha'alyona v'Ha'aretz Ha'tachtona. The supernal or higher earth, and then the lower globe. Ubezeh Gufa. So we speak about Aretz, we're speaking about Ha'aveda. Where is the Aveda? Where does Hashem expect us to make a difference? The Aveda is Be'eretz HaTachtona Dafke. You cannot put on tefillin in Gan Eden, not even in Gan Eden HaTachton. You cannot light Shabbos candles in the heavens. That can only be done on earth, at the lowest level possible. As we talked about many times, the notion of heaven and earth means where the presence of God is felt more or less. It's not about physical heaven and earth. So earth is the only place where God's presence is not seen at all, where the blackout is 100%, no light whatsoever. And in this lowest level of earth, Ilum Haza Tachten, the lowest level, Shein Tachta Lamata Mimenu, that's where you're supposed to do the things that Hashem sent the neshama for. So the neshama has to come into the lowest level possible. Lower than the lands of the living. And specifically through this tremendous yerida, to a lower level that's as low as it gets. Through this it's possible to reach. And he puts in the parentheses, of course, Ayadei Canaan, by turning a buck, by making a profit, with the paradigm of commerce. You can reach the highest levels of success and achievement, to the point that it can't even get greater than that. The highest of the high. Until that you're elevated to a place where even the terminology of high and low no longer applies. It's transcendent of all that. And this is the chiddush, this is the novelty, why it says in the pasuk be'eretz Canaan, al mashakasav be'eretz meguri aviv. That's why it says eretz Canaan. It says that in addition to the words, the terminology, the description of the land of the sojourn of his father, it is only through this tremendous yerida that through that reality, to the level of Megurei Aviv, to the place where his father lived, where he sojourned, meaning Eretz Canaan, meaning Eretz HaTachtona, the land where there's business profit to be made, the lowest land where the investment has to be made, where you lose, it seems, everything. That brings you to the highest level. Where do we see that? Alluded to in the pasuk. Where does the pasuk talk about a high level? V'zehu inyan Vayeshev. Vayeshev means to settle in. Like in Hebrew, a settlement is called a yeshuv. Settle in. Bechinas yeshiva. A yeshiva is a place where they sit and learn, even if they stand. Hisyashvus. Settling in denotes tranquility, menucha, peace and serenity. Sha'yidei hayerida lamata. That only by being in the lowest of situations, boyim el ha'aliyah, you're able to come to the highest, l'darga shalamayla megeda yerida v'aliyah, into a place where there no longer is an issue of falling and rising. The falls and the rises have faded over here. It's no longer a question. And that's Bechinis Yeshiva Menucha, where a person could say he's back in business. And in business, it's a dog-eat-dog world. In the business, you might lose again. And then he reaches a point where he's no longer in business. He's retired. He sits and learns Torah all day. He's involved in miftzayim. He does outreach work. He said, what about your I can't even spend the money I have if I wanted to. I have to buy 3 battleships. I can't. I'm done. So the person's relaxed. The person was in business, was always nervous. His money was being lost. So reached the point where he no longer has to worry anymore. He's on easy now. He's on cruise control. That's the idea of the yeshiva. And of course, that's what it will be like when Mashiach will come. And that's what Yaakov Avinu alludes to. But unfortunately, we're out of time. The Rebbe continues in this Mamar. He talks about Hanukkah. Of course, tomorrow is going into Hanukkah soon. And he says Hanukkah means Chanu. They rested. But how did they come to the rest? Through the Milchama. So first it was the battle that preceded it that brought them into the higher state of rest, into the joy of Hanukkah. The joy of Hanukkah didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't come out of a vacuum. And so we have to know with life that we're in a challenging situation. It is from those challenging situations that we're able to bounce back, not only to where we were, but in fact to go far beyond. And that's V'eretz Megurei Aviv, Yav Eretz Canaan. May we merit to finally get the yeshiva, the rest and the tranquility with the coming of Mashiach. Good Shabbos. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we will continue B'ezrat Hashem Sunday morning.